Alright, gonna make a Guild War offense video. Try and focus on more on the thought process of target selection, um, teams, kind of how the first couple turns of each fight should go, or how I would expect them to go, that would result in a win, and then maybe go over my teams a bit. A bit late to this war, so we're gonna pick some of the tougher towers for demonstration purposes. Okay, so here, I just want to, let me get a feel for these plus threes here. Okay, okay. That's an interesting second team. Haven't seen Jubel in a while. Okay, some fire. So these are all good teams. Yeah, so this Kumun or whatever, however you say it, Theo Chesn team. I've tried to Delphoy Copper it many times, but you actually it's not a good matchup. I've found, at least with my builds, as when you kill the Chesn with Copper, you really get out sustained by the shields on the Theo um, a lot of the time. So I've given up trying to do that. But what you can do to that team is run a staple Theo. So here's kind of my team, my main teams. Um, Cali, that's the first three are very standard. And then the only two that really have nat fives, uh, I run a Bastet, Lucian, Leo, but you can actually just make a speed Lucian and another AoE nuker and a Megan, and it's basically the same team. Um, so I would recommend that. Any nuker and a Megan and a Lucian is mostly free to play as well. And then I just use my Perna, and sometimes I'll put Chow in the Perna spot. This is kind of more of a sustainy fight team when I want, like against a Veligul type of tanky type team. I'll bring this team because Bella is good for extra sustain and single target buff removal. And Bastet's just good. So okay, so versus this team, I normally will run Theo, Tessa, Chazun versus the top, and versus the bottom team, bringing a Chow could be pretty good. Um, the the double fire, Bella might be in jeopardy. There's no armor break on this bottom defense, is something I'm thinking. Now, the Belladion will take fire pretty heavily from everyone. Um, and Juno is pretty good versus Baz Tet. Uh, we could go with, yeah. So just kind of to run through like my thought process. So like obviously you can't copper this bottom team. Not really going to be able to Chloe it or Katarina it because of the Juno. Um, Too much fire to Lucian it. Um, so really the only kind of preset option I would have is some version of this. I mean, I could start mixing and matching, but that's not really something I like to do because I find that tuning your teams to work together generally leads to better results than just trying to scroll through your box and, oh, maybe this will work, maybe this, that type of stuff. It can be good, but it can also get you into trouble. So I try and stick to the teams that I've ruined to work well together, proper speed tuning and etc. So that's an option. So versus the other guy with the same thing. So we could do the same thing. Oh nope, not that. We could do that here, and we could also versus the top team. See, that's a pretty interesting top team. Now we could run this version versus that, and we would try to. Shoot, I guess we would try and. I don't even know. We would. It would depend what we would try and focus down basis the first few turns. Um, I could see that working as well as an option. Versus this guy. No, let's okay. See, I don't know what to do versus this because this is double immunity, which generally kind of gives me trouble because I don't really have too good. Like for example, on the bottom team, you could try and copper it, but then you'd get the beta, but then the Rakan would paired up with some armor breaks would probably wreck you, so that's not a good plan. And then um, now there could be an option here to try and Katarina it. That could be a thing. I could see that. Beta could remove your immunity, which would be very bad. Um, but that top team actually is pretty good because you can't. I mean, I guess you could try and just copper the Sierra, um, and then I could see that working. Uh, Now you couldn't really. I wouldn't really want to Lucian it. Well, maybe I would actually. Maybe that's just Lucian fodder. And then the Katarina on the bottom. Is that good? See, because with the Lucian, yeah, we should be able to one hit the Sierra. And then there wouldn't really be too much heals or resistance. We should be able to work the rest down pretty fast. So okay, so I think Lucian that's an option. Um, Here. Ooh, okay. Oh, okay. He's just destroyed. So here versus top team. Generally, the go through here is any Sierra Ryan team. There's not very many good options other than just to will shield and hope that Orion doesn't get you. And then, if possible, try and bring a composition that gives you a chance if Orion does get you. Um, so that would probably be what I would do there. But then at the bottom, you could also try and copper this. That would probably work. I generally like to copper Chizun, Theo, most X's. Sometimes the third will make it not feasible, but I think it should generally work. And then yeah, so I'm just trying to go through how I would think through the approach versus these top towers. Okay, so I think we didn't do this one yet. These teams are good. Now you could, like I said, anything with the Theo, you could try like this, but actually this is fairly risky because you have another layer of risk. Like even if Tasarian, like you always have the risk that Tasarian doesn't land Oblivion, um, but here you also have the glancing from Molly risk, and then even if that all goes right, like Molly Ritesh is going to put a lot of pressure on Theo because if Ritesh armor breaks him, Molly's going to focus him, and sometimes Molly's pretty hard. So I don't even really like doing this versus that Theo, and then Molly. I mean, you could try and copper the Molly or the Ritesh. Um, then again, you have the 20% chance to just automatically lose, which is not really where you want to be. You could try to Lucian it. That's I mean, that's probably pretty good. Now the problem is you're not gonna one hit the retest, and then it's always gonna do armor break first, and then Theo is gonna one shot whatever gets armor broken, and then Molly's gonna proc violence and heal it back up. So that could even go wrong too. So this is a pretty solid team, I think. Nothing. I mean, yeah. If you tried to do this, yeah, I mean the Kali, my Kali hits for 42, so that's not even gonna one hit a retest if you miss it with Katarina. So I don't really like anything versus top team in my toolbox. Versus the bottom team, I would probably try something like this. Just try and focus down one of them, but this is guys are all really tanky and got armor break and heal block from the Kumar could be extra problematic this battle. Maybe I'd swap in Chow. Um, but yeah, but generally I would probably not try and fight that guy. So I just spent 10 minutes just talking now, but um, the point is just think through kind of how the fight will go before you try and battle. All right, so I think I'm gonna go for this one. Oh, and then okay, so another thing is if you're gonna fight 3 fights, you want to do the less risky ones first. So I generally try and leave the Orion ones for later if I can, um, just because he can always get you. So here, I think this top team should go pretty well, and then the bottom team, I think should. What was I saying here? No, we can't copper it. Yeah, we can't. Can't. No, I think another guy was a better chance to win. It was this guy. Yeah, I think we were gonna Lucian the top, and then we weren't gonna copper. We were gonna try and capture him on the bottom, which might go poorly, but we'll see. Okay, let's try this. Now this is where a Swift Sekhmet, if it's somehow better than my Swift Bastet, would definitely crush me here, but that's not the case. We'll try and get a poke on Wusa. Or even worse would have been a Swift Wusa, actually. Because then we might not get the Seer one hit. Um, so now we're going to... Oh, double stun. Okay. So, but we'll follow up. We'll get our own uh, curse there. Both our damage guys got stunned, which is not good. But he's going to focus down uh, there. So we need to work down this Wusa. Lucian should get him here. Okay. And then we shouldn't have a problem here. Once Bastet cycles back to this, and we get another amp off. Might take a bit, but there's no heals, so can't really go too wrong. Oh, triple glance, okay. There we go. So here we just gotta hope Beta doesn't Oh, see, okay, so I didn't think of that too much, but our guys are pretty slow, so they can always proc out of their or we could just... Okay, so this could definitely go wrong, so I didn't think of that properly, but we'll just see what happens. Alright, so we got lucky. And then we're probably going to get crushed there. Okay, so we may still be okay here, because I think we should, between this and this, these Jubels, they have some type of something going on. Oh no, don't kill Kali, no. Oh, he's like a 3x revenge or something. So that definitely was not well thought out, because we could have just had chain glances on the first team. I mean, on the bottom here, and lost. But sometimes you get lucky. Okay, next fight here. And the other thing about dude, this type of approach with teams is you just immediately can look at a defense and see the texture of and know which of your presets can go. So when you get to rushing, you're not sitting there trying to scroll through here, mixing and matching teams. Oh, well, maybe this. It's a lot quicker and more likely to succeed, or less likely to miss something, because you kind of get a feel for which type of defenses you can just go versus which you can't. So we're gonna try this now. I guess hypothetically with this speed lead, his Chiwu could be faster than everyone. But I guess we'll just risk that. Go here. Don't get my will. All right, see. You always gotta sweat it. You can't really outspeed it. And then even if you can outspeed it, like the Perna gives so much resilience that it's not going to end well. So this is a pretty tanky Sierra, which is also known as a good Sierra. I've found. So that could have gone bad if Perna had like gone crazy there. All my Chassoon. Of course, it can always go bad when Orion gets your will rune, but not today. Oh, okay. So I was worried about that. Shit. Okay, so he didn't proc Violent, so we might still have a chance. Damn it. Okay, well, that was a good Violent proc there. Because now at least we can get the Theo reset off. I wonder, so okay, so I hadn't thought of this. I wonder if we just go for the unbuffed Theo kill, since we had that Violent proc. And we had a stunned Amesity. Now we could glance, so we're at 70% crit rate. So we'd only be at 85%, since we don't have our buff. Alternatively, we just use the first on Theo and try and stun it. And then his Chiwu is going to go before Amesity. It already used, the Chiwu's used its third, but it hasn't used its second. So it could put a buff block on Copper, in which case, but it'll probably focus down Delphoy since it's already dead. So I don't think we have to worry about that. So I think we're just going to go with try and stun Theo and then try and cycle and nuke the Chassoon. Because it won't get to heal the Theo, so this won't be wasted damage. Okay, good stun. Yep, okay. Goes after Delphoy as we thought. And we're going to go next. We're going to buff up here. And then we're going to nuke here. And then we should be good from here. Because you can start putting some... Okay, stuns are not good. You can really mess with a Theo's attack bar, is what I found. Once you kind of kill the heals and really kind of keep it in check. We might lose Delphoy, though. Because it's going to take a bit to wear down this guy. Maybe should have used the Mesity on itself there. I'm going to keep the resets on this Chiwu so it can't strip all our buffs and heal. Try and get a slow on it. Not having any luck there. Keep glancing. Go for it here. Okay, got there. So we won even though the Chiwu was faster and stunned our Mesity, which is good. Okay, so the next... Let's see. So those were the two I was most confident in. I think this is still the one I'm the least confident in. Both of these have one identical team. So it's really Juno, Ritesh, Vela versus Verad, Juno, Laika, whatever you say. So generally... So we're going to be using Theo, we're going to use this versus this team. Regardless, because I've already talked about how I don't like coppering this, because those shields on Theo can sustain you out sometimes. So it's going to be this way. So both those teams have Junos, and which means we can't use Chloe or Katarina. Can't use Copper, Amesity. Both have, there's too much fire for that. So really, and you can't really Lucian them anyway, so sounds like one way or the other, I'm going to be doing something like this. So for this one, I would definitely bring the Perna because of the retest instead of Chow. versus here, I would bring Chow, I think. Or maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I just would bring Perna. But Verads can, yeah, Verads are jerks. So maybe we go here, and then we go with a Perna. Nope, not that. With a Perna, and we go here. I'm not. It's definitely not 100% at the top. But it does have crit rate lead, not a tank lead. So we might be able to one hit something with Perna, depending on how it goes. So we're gonna go with this. All right, so we're gonna get to go first here. I think our guys are gonna go before us. Okay, so we got lucky there. Juno didn't dispel. Um, very lucky. So that was pretty good, obviously. But like I said, that would have been a lot worse had the Juno not derped. But as is, it did, so won't complain there. So this should be pretty straightforward from here. There's no heal block, so he's going to need a lot of procs on this retest to really do any damage. All right, yeah, so we're going to get to just finish off this retest anyway here. And yeah, there you go. Bella can't land a debuff. Alright, so now we just need Tessarian not to miss. Okay, so, oh, come on, okay. Okay, so sometimes that happens. So I think we're gonna blossom because so this is something important to know how Chasun works with the attack bar in this type of scenario. So my order is obviously Chasun, Tessarian, Theo. Now what happens is if I was to blossoms on the Theo, the Tessarian's gonna go before the Chasun because it's slightly more full right now, if that makes sense, because it's in front and the Chasun will only fill up to copy the Theo. So they'll all be, looking like their full attack bar after I blossom, but Tessarian will be a bit ahead. But the important part is that the Chasun and the Theo will be exactly tied on attack bar, but since Chasun has two more base speed, it's going to get to go before the Theo, so we will actually get to amuse the Theo to get the attack buff up before the Theo goes if we blossom on the Theo. But like for example, say the Tessarian was out of the picture and it was just we just had two guys, um, then no, that would still work. But if you were to do this and the Theo was faster than the Chisun, that's the case I was trying to point out, then you would not get to Amuse before. Um, and the Amuse, so we're not going to get to Amuse Tessarian, but we should get to Amuse Theo. Uh, and see, here I am just getting it wrong. Okay, so maybe I'll have to evaluate that, but it shouldn't matter because we landed attack break, and so don't worry about all that. But yeah, we just work them down from here. Tessarian's pretty sweet versus this type of composition. So we want, even though that Theo had 3 procs, is the moral of the, or 2 procs, 3 turns, is the moral here. And there we go. Now we work down the Chasun. And then should be winners. Sometimes I'll put Chow on this team and swap Tessarian to the lead and then run 100% resist. But that's only good versus teams where Chow is less likely to get targeted, and you're really just looking for those max resist fire and wind tanks. Um, but like as you saw in that fight, Theo was better than Chow sometimes, especially versus enemy Theos, because versus 3 procs, Chow would have probably just died, where Theo got to live, as you saw. Okay, so runes, real quick. So Theo here, Bio Will there, Tessarian, stats here, pretty tanky. Shield Will Revenge, which I really like. Also got that 60% resist. Chasun, same 60 resist, just standard Violent Will Chasun. Okay, next team, Chloe, Swift, Shield. So the Shield I really like just because it gives you an extra chance versus Mollies and Betas and Archangels who are trying to remove one buff when you're Katarina and Kali are just sitting there hoping. Um, so Rage Blade, just max damage. Rune set here. Same thing here, except I have a less crit rate because I get my lead, of course. This is just Rage. Both those are just Rage Blade. Uh, what's next? Um, oh yeah, Delphoy. Okay, yeah. So Delphoy is just tanky, fast, bit of crit rate. Make sure you have at least 35 accuracy. Is kind of my threshold for important people to land debuffs, like an Orion or a Delphoy. Um, and then Emesides just has my third Swift set, which sucks, but that's okay. Just max EHP there. And then Copper, Rage Guard. Yes, there. And then, yeah, Leo Lucian, Bastet. Bastet gets used on both teams. This is my best Swift set. It's pretty bad because it's just accuracy and crit damage broken. So, yeah, not very tanky. I really want her to be tankier, but she needs to be fast. Leo, this is just my AO, actually. So, Leo's got fight runes, and he needs to be 3 fight, but I can't get any good fight runes. And then Lucian's just fatal broken, max damage. Somehow still have 50 speed, even though I don't need any speed, but what you gonna do? And then already showed Bastet, but Bastet, Bella, D or Bella. Here, Bella's like just a max tank set. Yeah, HP defense. Probably would be better to be 3x HP, but because she has really high defense and low HP, but didn't get there. And then Perna here. Note the speed tunings, right? So Perna's 173. Bella is in front of that, 175 or whatever that is. And then Chow, which I can sub in there, is 173. Violent Will. It's HP, crit damage, attack. Same build as Perna essentially. But everything is speed tuned, right? So if you look at my Tessarian and Theo, Chazun I showed earlier, you could actually sub in Perna or Chow for Tessarian or Theo and leave in Chasun, and they'll still all be speed tuned to have the armor breakers, Tessarian and Theo in front, and then that's important for sometimes when units die. So that's generally how I Guild Wars. I'll post this. Thanks for watching.